What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Lockport. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, to my South African and American viewers, welcome to Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada. To any new Canadian viewers, hi, my name is Vernon. I've spent the last 4.5 years fishing in the Mojave Desert down in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I made my way out here to Canada to see if I can try my luck with some of these cold water fish. Now I am quite eager to get out there and start fishing. We are fishing the Red River today at Lockport. This is an area known for quite a lot of big fish, but we're not planning on going for the big fish yet. We need to learn to walk before we can run. So my plan for today is going to be targeting some smaller fish, going for some bait fish, hoping to find a way to catch the bait fish so that I can improve and go for the bigger fish. Now, of course, I am new to this area, and a lot of the species of fish in these waters will be new life listers for me, so I'm quite excited to go fishing. But today we are going to try and focus specifically on catching some goldeye. Goldeye is a predatory fish, but it's also a bait fish, especially for some of the bigger fish out there. So this is a species where I feel if I can catch that, I should be set to catch some bigger fish as well. Alright, ladies and gents, the wife and I made our way to a spot that we think looks a little bit fishy. We're going to be fishing around this area. Now, one of the big things that I need to get used to, the rules here in Manitoba. Each licensed angler is only allowed to use one rod. You're allowed to have 2 hooks on that rod, but we're only going to be using 1 hook. And when fishing in Manitoba, all of your hooks need to be barbless. Now, the hooks we get here, they're not sold barbless, so you have to use your pliers and close the barbs. You are allowed to still have the little bait hook, but you're not allowed to have a barb. Now, the target species for today is going to be to try and find some goldeye. Now, while the wife is snagged and trying to get her lure back, quickly want to explain that different fish feed in different parts of the water column. Something like the goldeye, they feed in the top layer of the water column. Something like walleye would be in the middle, but they can be looking either upwards or downwards. And down on the bottom, you'll find things like catfish and drum and something like that. Now today, we are going to be looking for the goldeye, so we need to be fishing in the upper part of the water column. Now the general way people tend to do this is by using the little bobber, and you just have your hook suspended below the bobber. Use something like night crawlers. That is the go-to way to try and catch goldeye. So that is something that I will do at some stage, but first I want to try something a bit different. I want to be using a little jig head, put on a piece of night crawler, and rather than it sink down to the bottom, I'm going to be moving it in the top of the water column to see if we can get any goldeye. If that doesn't work, we can always swap back to a regular old trusted method to see if we can get any goldeye out there. And goldeye is very important. That is one of the main bait fish for the bigger predators out there. That is why that's our targeted species for today, but we'll see what we can get out there. Alright, ladies and gents, our first little fish. Although this is not the species we're targeting today, happy to get a new species on the board. Now, I'm not quite sure whether this is a sauger or a walleye. But it is my first little fish here in Canada. I'll have to look it up online. It's all based on little fin. But once I know what type of fish this is, I'll put the name here. So happy to get on my first fish. Not sure what it is yet, but we'll identify this fish. Now these are toothy critters. I'm not going to put my finger in his mouth, but let's get this lovely fish back to the water. And off he goes. Now I'm trying to move this little thing through the water column quite fast, trying to find a little goldeye. But at the moment, all of the walleye and sauger, they'll feed in the middle part of the water column. But this time of year, they're looking upwards. They're looking towards the bait fish. So even though I'm trying to move it through the water quite quickly to get on some goldeye, we got our first little fish there. I don't know what I hooked into, but it feels a bit bigger than the first fish. Not using very light line. Haven't had any chance to redo the reels and stuff, so I'm not going to force this fish in. And it might be a little drum, might be the second species for today. Like I said, we're not going to force this fish in. This is very light line to be fighting a little black drum. Wasn't planning on catching all sorts of different species today. Failed with getting the little goldeye thus far, but happy to get on some fish, even though we're going to have a lot of new species. And that's my first black drum as well. Thanks for the wife for landing it in the landing net. Alright, so because this is my first one ever, it's going to be a new PB as well. So I quickly just want to get some measurements on this fish so we know what my new black drum PB is. Alright, there we are, my first black drum ever. Unfortunately, we cannot do a weight measurement on this. My batteries died in my little scale. But it is a decent size one. Even though we're not going to know the true size, I'm sure we'll get some more of these. Looks to be something like 40 centimeters, a little bit over a foot. Alright, but let's get this fish back to the water. So the wife is going to just release him for us. Just want to make sure this fish swims off by himself. And off he goes. Nice to get on a new species for today, although we were not planning on catching any of those. Wife was smart enough to have on some shoes that she can go into the water with. That's why she released it for us. Alright, we have another little fish on. Another fisherman left some small little fish. Tried one of those little fish, and we seem to have another little sauger. The little barbless hook comes out quite easily. And there we are. Now, this one also has the little white on the tail there. That's why I think this is a sauger. But of course, sauger and walleye do interbreed. So this can be a hybrid. If you know, please do go down in the comments and tell me. But I do believe this is a little sauger. And at the moment, this is my new PB. But let's get this little guy back to the water. And off he goes. Sadly, that was in my shadow, but it is nice to see the fish in the water and lovely colors on them. Okay. And the wife is on a fish. Also looks to be a little sauger. Hers might be a bit bigger than mine. But that's how it normally works. The wife catches.
Your first, smaller than your second.
Yeah, so bigger than the first one, smaller than the second. But that's how it works. The wife normally catches the bigger ones. Let's quickly bring him in. He swallowed this one quite deep, so we just want to make sure he's okay. So this little fish swallowed it deep. It is a barbless hook, but it's way down in his throat. So we just quickly want to get some pliers, make sure we get that out. He's not bleeding or anything, so I don't think he's hooked in the gills. But because they do have teeth, we don't want to push our fingers in there. We had to spend some time with this fish to get that hook out safely. He's not bleeding or anything at the moment, so we just want to make sure he swims off by himself. Gonna revive him a bit in the water. He looks to be breathing and everything. Alright, and off he goes. There we go, another little fish on. Not seeming to get any of the little goldeye that we're looking for, but we're getting quite a lot of these little guys. Oh, barbless hook came out. Just want to have a look at this little guy. This might actually be a tiny little walleye. Not seeing the white on the tail. Need to count the spots on the fins. So, lovely little catch. I'm gonna get him back to the water. And off he goes. There we go. Another little fish. Another little sauger. Quite a lot of them in this area. But happy to get some fish. Good to see some healthy populations of fish in this area. Everyone around us seems to be catching fish. So let's get this guy back to the water. And off he goes. Seems no matter what lure I use, today we're only getting some walleye and sauger. Oh, dropped him, but back into the water, and off he goes. Alright, ladies and gents, when it comes to the goal of catching some walleye out there, I'm sad to say that completely failed in that today. That's the thing, even though I do know a lot about fishing, this is something completely new to me. Gonna be lots of learning to figure these things out, but both me and the wife got on some new species out there today. That's the fun thing about fishing. Even though we didn't get target species, we got on some new fish. And in short, that's what these videos are going to be about. It's me going to all different sorts of lakes and places, trying to find different fish, catch all sorts of fish, and of course I'm dragging you guys along to see the scenery, the fish I do get out there. So if any of that sounds good to you, please do hit the subscribe button, join my community, and feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. Do also give me some hints and tips, especially places where I need to go fishing and how to target certain fish. Please do go and tell me down in the comments. And of course I want to thank all the guys that's following me from Vegas to watch the videos out here. Thank you for watching, and it's going to take me a while to get used to the fishing here, and hopefully you can learn with me as I try and catch all sorts of different fish out there. Manitoba is the province of 100,000 lakes. There are lots of places out there to find fish. Please do give me a little thumbs up for catching some fish out there at least. And like always, I'll see you next time.